afternoon and welcome to Brave Embrace. This is a place we stop and gather and celebrate the times we've overcome and found our brave. I have a great guest with me today, and it's such an honor to be spending time hearing not only her story of overcoming, but also hearing the inspiring way in which she has taken her life's journey and turned it into giving back to the community. So we're going to be talking about some exciting things today. I'd like to welcome Brenda Wood. Thank you for being here with us.
I'm glad to be here. It's a pleasure and a privilege because most people don't seem to recognize that they have had a journey and they do have a story to tell. So I'm very blessed.
I love that. And every time we've talked, what I always feel is inspired by you because the journey that life has taken you and your family on has produced something so rich that's like pure gold. And you help remind people that you can change your story at any time.
You absolutely can. You absolutely can. They say that your past might be your story, but your future is still yet to come. So that ending hasn't been written. You can change the ending.
I love that. Last week I was kind of recapping some shows that we had. And one of the things that I like to remind our viewers and myself is that, sometimes we have to step outside of the known, what we are thinking every day, what we're going through every day to really see possibility.
Absolutely.
Right? Because next is so powerful. And you're an author and a speaker and inspiration to so many. Do you mind sharing a little bit about where you are in life right now and a little bit of your family?
Sure, absolutely. First off, where I am in life, I am at a very happy place. I am at peace. I would have never thought in the past that I wasn't happy, but looking back, I could see all the mistakes and the decisions and things that I was doing, and just because I wasn't happy, but you don't want to admit that at the time. And I have a wonderful family, I have a wonderful support system, and they've been there all along. But sometimes it takes a tragedy to make you realize what you have. And I'm one of those people.
Wow. Taking your tragedy, turning it into triumph.
Absolutely.
That's such a powerful statement. And that's why I love to sit down in these types of conversations because, as you know, I went through a harrowing experience that, was a stranger attack, a brutal kidnapping, and 16 hours being held captive. And when you see the evil in people and see what people are capable of, it changes a little bit about the way that you feel about the world and what could actually happen. How do you look at adversity and find the strength to turn it into a positive and to make it a triumph?
Well, adversity is actually, it can be a good thing if you let it be. It can teach you how to move forward instead of staying stuck in the past. And for me, adversity it's been a challenge because I have seen some things I would have never guessed I was going to see. But it's made me who I am today. And not only has it made me a better person, it's actually put me back on a path that I really wanted to be on to begin with. And I found myself in a job I was self-employed. I thought I had it all, but I found myself in a job that I was working all the time. I really didn't have the life that I wanted, and I really wanted to be something else. So it's made me who I am today because of that.
So adversity was actually a stepping stone into the future
Yes,
for you.
it was.
So you mentioned you felt like you had it all. You felt like, or what appeared on the outside, like it should seem like you have it all. You worked hard, you have a beautiful family, but you were working so hard and things were driving you maybe that weren't your natural values and things like that, right? And did you kind of discover some things internally and start to see a path and change? Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I was diagnosed with cancer in 2011, and you would think that would open your eyes. I had lymphoma. I had a tumor right here in my neck, and I had to go through chemo, radiation, major surgery. I still have some lifelong effects from that I have to have some treatment for. But you don't know if you're going to live or die when you get that news. So you start to maybe make some decisions that are good and maybe some decisions that are bad because you're trying to hurry up to get done things that you didn't have prepared in the past. So long story short on that, everything's fine. But instead of trying to calm my life down, slow down, reevaluate. I put myself in the state of denial. I didn't want to say that I was sick, didn't really want to tell anybody I was sick, and made some very poor decisions during that time.
Oh, you must have felt alone and afraid. And do you feel like some of the decisions uh, were being driven because of this fear of needing to survive and then just the unknown that you were facing in so many areas?
I don't want to use it as an excuse because my actions are my actions. There's no excuse for that. But I will say that it did put me into a situation of trying to salvage and save and prepare my family and others for the future. And when you do that, you get involved with some folks that you maybe shouldn't have. And that's what happened to me. And to be honest with you, I was going down a path and I lost my light and I lost my focus and it landed me in a jail cell.
Oh, I just have chills all over hearing your vulnerability there about losing your light, getting to a point in life where things feel hopeless, and you found yourself in a jail cell, which is just so brave to share and talk about with us. And one of the terms that I know that I love to hear about you is you're an advocate for the incarcerated. So you took an
Absolutely.
experience and now you are using that for good. Do you share a little bit about that with me?
Well, I had 44 months sitting alone during lockdowns and time to just evaluate myself. And I came to the realization that I didn't know myself. Everything I was doing in the past was either for my family, for approval, wanted to make my dad happy, my mom happy, my husband happy, my kids happy, and to uphold an appearance that I didn't need to do. So therefore, I didn't really know myself, and um, when I first went there, I was so disgusted, just embarrassed, humiliated, didn't really know what was going to happen. I was facing 30 years, is what I was told. And it forced me to find my light again. And I saw a lot of really good people that needed help, that just didn't have the family support. They didn't have the education, didn't know how to start to begin with anything to fight for their self, for their freedom, for their lives when they get out. And then when I got out, I was so shocked at the way the world viewed people who have been incarcerated. And now I'm not saying that everybody's great and things are all rosy. There's some people that need to stay in for the rest of their life. I'm a firm believer in some parts of the system. But when I had to face more adversity coming out and seeing the way I was being treated, the way my family was being treated, and the way that we were being stereotyped, I said enough. And I promised the girls that I spent time with that if I could make a difference, I would. So I've decided to help out a nonprofit organization. I do some field reporting for them and like to educate the public on really what incarceration is like, because it's not just about the person who is incarcerated. Their family are victims. The
Mhm.
family becomes a victim. My family was a victim of my actions. And I have to live with that. And I am very fortunate that my family is very forgiving. Um, but there's a lot of people that don't, and they don't have support when they get out. So they're in the federal system. When you come out, you're going to go to a halfway house if
I
you don't
see.
have family. I didn't even have to do that. I was supposed to do 78 months. I walked out in 44, and that is nothing but a blessing from the Lord. When my heart and mind was ready and changed, he opened the
Yes.
doors,
And
and
so
it was just amazing.
truth was brought to light. And
Mhm.
it's interesting, and I love that we forged this friendship because I often speak to victims of crime and those that have suffered losses and hurts, and we all have, and things that we've gone through in our past, and the path took you a little bit of a different direction, but we have this common link in that understanding, and me being curious about the system of it being incarcerated and what is that like, and what are the options for healing and growth, and what do you do when you get out. I shared with you the other day that an offender of mine has a release date, and I have I'm worried about that, and to feel like I can talk with you and get information about
Mhm.
that, and we can hope for change for that person even. It's a fascinating piece to the whole system. And
It
then
is.
I love embracing your brave and being willing to talk about how you took experiences of life and the journey it took you on, where you ended up for a while, but that you found yourself and back out now.
I did. And not only did I find myself, I found my purpose. And when you find your purpose and you move forward with that, you reach a level of satisfaction in your life and happiness that I can't even put into words. It's not about money. It's not about your status in life or the house you live in or the car you drive. It is about personal growth and happiness. And when you achieve that, you are very successful because money can't buy that for you. It just can't. And when I decided I'm going to change, I'm going to use this time and I'm going to change. I changed my mindset. I decided that I needed to get back in touch with the people that I had harmed. And I have contacted and tried to set up meetings. Some I've met with, some won't see me at all. But I'm trying to. And the only thing I can do is move forward for myself, try to make amends with those that will allow it, and just continue to help others and get the word out there that just because you're incarcerated and just because you're a felon or you've been to jail, some people go to jail and don't end up being a felon, that you still have a value and a worth, and you can contribute to community, to anything you want to do. You can go out there and do it. Don't let others' opinion hold you back.
I am such a proponent of that. I believe your method of restoration and your ability to realize that you found that light again, even having gone through things and being in that dark cell. I imagine being able to feel the light and feel purpose again. That must have just been the most amazing feeling.
It was. And when I went before the judge and I was told I was going to be released in 2 days, it was just like a miracle had happened for me because I never did go to prison. I never had to get on Con Air and fly and be let into a prison. But I also didn't have to do the halfway house. I could come in. I got to go right home to my family. And I had to take a class. It's a MRT. It's a moral recognition type therapy class. And usually it takes about a year to do. I finished it fairly quickly. And I heard the stories of the girls that were in there. And my story was completely different because I wasn't in for drugs or some of the things that they were in for. And the sorrow that they had and the sadness because they were so alone was just unbearable for me. And I said, you got to do something about this. You've got to let them know that they still have a life and that they can move forward. They can overcome this. And I'm here, I'm thinking about that. And I said, well, you can't tell them, you got to show them. You got to show them that it can be done. So while I was incarcerated, I determined I was not going to let that be a waste of my time. I learned how to draw. I got bored. I just decided, hey, I'm going to start drawing. And some of my stuff in the beginning was kind of crazy. My mom said, those legs are awfully crooked.
So you would send it to family and get some critique. Well,
I did.
We have a couple of your drawings that you shared, and when I look into kind of the eyes and the facial structure of the particular creatures that you crafted here, the animals, I see like this driven spirit of maybe the sorrow that you were taking in from those that you were surrounded with, but I could feel the purpose in wanting to like show light out of that, because I think a lot of us walk through our days feeling sorrow and alone, and we feel offended or victimized, and then we make choices, or we have addictions, or we have things that drive us in different directions, and it's like we're all on the same kind of wheel, just circling around and around. But you found a passion in there, just one of a few, I think. But so this drawing,
Yes.
so were you like looking at books and then just trying to kind of formulate something similar? How did you begin?
That's exactly what happened. I would see a cover on a book or an animal in a magazine, and I would just try to draw it because I had a lot of time on my hands. And I just would sit there and draw. I'm still drawing is practice. You've got to practice, practice, practice. My style is very unique. Some people don't like it. I have a son that doesn't like my drawings.
Well, that's a hard lesson to hear from your child, huh? But my daughters are quick to say, Mom, that does not match, or you need a haircut, or any of those things. So they'll tell us the truth. But I found your drawings to be very symbolistic of family and
Yes.
and again, kind of that drive to create a new reality. So is that what you were feeling and what you were being inspired by?
Yes, and some of them that I sent home would also, depending on my mood, would be very sad. And I have to be in the mood to draw, or it doesn't turn out well. And my mom would say, "Wow, that one was you must have been hurting that day or something," because you could just see the tears forming in the person's eyes that I was drawing.
I
But
see.
I love to draw wildlife. That's my best
Mhm.
because it doesn't really have to. A wolf is a wolf. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to look like a person has to look like that person.
I
So I'm
see.
still working on people. But one of the years for Christmas, I ended up drawing pictures of my family, and I would do them on individual pages because I didn't want to have to erase and mess up if I couldn't get somebody's face right. Didn't want to mess up the whole drawing with everybody else that I did. So I would take a razor blade, because we weren't allowed to have scissors, but we could have razors, and I would cut
Interesting.
out each picture. Yes. And
Oh,
I would tape it with repurposed tape from my mail in the positions that I wanted it on 2 pieces of paper, drawing paper that you could buy off commissary. And I sent it home to my mom, and she made sure it was arranged the way it needed to be. And she went and made prints for everybody. And then she framed the original. So
I
that was a Christmas present one year for him.
wonderful. Well, I feel like there is a healing connection that I'm sensing from you.
Very much so.
The process of drawing and connecting that pen and paper and whatever material you were using, is it mostly pencil drawing that you would
Just
begin?
pencil. Just
Pencil.
pencil. Hmm.
Yeah. So do you feel like there was healing that was happening kind of as you were thinking things through, finding restoration over past hurts and abuses and things, and then just letting that out into the drawing, almost like journaling, but through
Yes,
art?
it's exactly what it was. It was therapy.
Yeah,
It was
therapy.
therapy.
That's
And where I was
fascinating.
at, there wasn't a lot of classes. There was nothing really to better yourself because it was a holding facility where people were just coming and going.
I
They were
see.
being arrested and put there and held till they had a hearing and possibly released, or they were being transferred from prison to come hear another, to be a witness, or to have a change or something on their sentencing. So there was a lot of movement there. So I was there for a long time. I was probably one of the ones that had been there the longest out of a lot of people. So I got to know not only a lot of the inmates, but I got to know a lot of the staff. And they have a heavy burden too. They really
Mm,
do. And to not take their work home and to really try to be there for the inmates, a lot of them do. It's almost like a social worker's position, to be honest with you. But they don't have the programs there. So you had to find stuff out for yourself. And the next thing I did is I wrote a book. I actually wrote 3 books while I was in there. The first one is out now. It's been published, and the other 2 are in the works. Like I said, I just refused to let this be a waste of my time. I said I was going to write a book in the past, so God gave me that time to do so.
well, this first book, Restitution, right? I
Yes.
have had the pleasure of reading through, and I was so inspired even by the foreword, just in your ability and your desire to just get out there and say, listen, I want to heal. I want to
Mhm.
offer healing. I want to find outlets for that. And you mentioned there were no classes and things available. Was it because you were in this holding type facility?
Yeah, they
So
they have some religious classes that you could go to, and then they would have some GED classes, but I've already got my college, so I didn't need that.
mhm,
And the church was very universal, and it was more in Catholicism and other churches that I did not belong to. So I didn't really go to those. But as far as classes to teach people because people were being released to the community out of there, but there was
mhm,
not really anything for reentry.
I
You just,
see.
most people just slept their time away.
I see. So even some of the counseling and things that would have been beneficial to support you overcoming just weren't available. And so was it that desire and that gap, not only that, encouraged you to write and express yourself that way, but to see future programming and possibilities for some of the other inmates, and then also with some of the relationships you forged with staff, just the
Yeah,
ability to show that you can overcome.
absolutely. My mind has never shut down. It doesn't sleep well. It just is continuously going. So when you are put in a situation where you have nothing to do, you can
Mhm.
either sleep, you can eat, or you can read. That's pretty much all you can do. and watch TV through headphones. You can't, even you have to have earbuds in all the time.
Oh, I
And
didn't
I'm
know
not a
that.
big TV watcher, so I use that time. I mean, I read a lot of books too, but I use that time to do something of value. And even if I never got out, it was something that my kids could take and publish. They would have something left of me, even if nothing happened. And I did journal while I was in there too, and I would send all that home, and they could read it. That I was an open book, so they knew everything that had happened.
I
They
see.
knew the reasons behind it, and they were very supportive.
What a brave way to work towards that healing. I really honor that. Also, and just the concept that you can take that time and that experience and that you're willing to share it openly and to help people find the ability to rewrite their own story and find their purpose again. So I know that you have these creative outlets that you love, but you've also been working towards not only working with agencies and volunteering, but doing things to kind of just forge that gap that's there between hurting people and those that are overcoming. So, what is your number one thing that lights you up every day when you think about what you can contribute back to society right now?
I want to help educate others to get them from being stuck. I really don't know how else to put it.
I
I
love
want
it.
them to go after their dreams and not let fear hold them back.
Mhm.
I was letting fear hold me back, and you can't worry about what other people think because you can't change them. You can't control what they say. The only thing you can do is control yourself. And maybe through your actions and what you're doing, people can see a change in you, and others might want to be a part of what you're doing.
Mhm.
So, we are doing some speaking conferences about overcoming.
Mhm.
And it's not about prison, it's not about overcoming incarceration, it is about overcoming your challenges.
Mhm.
And we have some folks that have had some tremendous hardships, and they share how they did not let that stop them, you included. And they are going to share their stories, that they are going to help others get them unstuck, basically, and show them how to move forward. And it's not about selling their product, it's about helping them.
The thought of helping people get unstuck is something close to my heart because over the last couple of years with the Me Too movement and the Time's Up movement and all of the disclosures of abuses that have gone on that I know are close to your heart as well, seeing these people having been wounded by medical professionals and coaches and the losses that are suffered and but being able to see that sometimes even with a disclosure you feel stuck because now you have opened up this wound, and so how do we then right take steps to get out of that? And so being stuck is something that's been in my heart, is that people find themselves there. And you do have an amazing lineup for this event that there's happening in August in
Mhm.
Kansas City, right at the Kansas City
Yes,
Convention Center.
that's correct.
And we have some promo slides too that are going to pop up, and we'll have links to all the information. But how did this idea get birthed in you in the first place?
I've done public speaking a lot. In my career, I had to speak to school boards and sell our product, and just with the chamber meetings, and just in general, I've done a lot of public speaking. I've done a lot of it at our church, women's ministry, done a lot of teaching. I actually taught science for 3 years, and I just wanted to get the word out that you can do what you want to do. Um, my past job did not allow me to be a speaker. It didn't give me it. I spoke, but not the type of speaking that I really wanted to do. So God removed all those challenges from my life. It took a jail cell to do it, but He has rebuilt my heart and given me a love to go on and do what I want to do. And He's going to bless that if you do it His way. And I have felt that this event is needed, especially with coming out of COVID and the negativity there, all the public election stuff, and
Yes.
all the negativity that's out there. People need to know it's okay to do what you want to do. And if you don't make that much money doing it, that's okay. If you
Mhm.
have a big house and you're working your job to make that $4,000 a month house payment, sell the house and get a smaller one and
Yeah.
go do what you want to do. I mean, it sounds like it's impossible, but it can really happen. And if you take the mindset to change,
Mhm.
you can do it, but you have to stick with it. And these folks that are speaking at this event have all had challenges. and they're going to share their stories. There's going to be some breakouts where they're going to teach you how to do this. And we even have a lady that's going to come to a breakout on how to write a book if you want to write a book.
Oh,
So lots of things there. There's going to be a black tie affair to be able to network, and I have a comedian coming to speak at that. And it's really about making a change, and don't be stuck with those challenges. And that's with anybody's life, including my own. I could have came out of jail and had the woe is me, pity me attitude, or duck my head and not do anything, just be a hermit. And there's more to life than that. And every person deserves happiness.
yes.
They deserve it.
I agree. A couple of things that stuck with me that you just said is mindset. And that is fascinating because mindset, I truly believe, is everything.
It
Just
is.
like when we opened it, it's realizing that, we can rewrite our story. We can set a new future despite our
Mhm.
past. And I'm excited to hear these speakers. You've got comedians, you've got storytellers, you have
Mhm.
athletes, you have you have people that have overcome a variety of different types of losses and abuses to tell their story and to show how in life they got to be where they are.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this is going to be
Doing
a
and doing what they want to do with their life now. They're not stuck anymore. They've
right.
overcome. Mhm.
Feeling like they have a choice as to what life looks like for them,
Right.
despite being driven like we so often are in our younger years when we're having families and kids and we're driven by budgets and dollars and car payments and all the things. But to be able to realize that life, like you said, is more than that. It's outside of that. It's also inside yourself. So it's that mindset. It's being willing to work towards that outstanding you. What do you do every day, maybe your morning routine that sets you up with that right mindset?
Well, first off, I wake up every day and I thank Jesus for giving me another day and changing my life. That is my number one. Like I said, I lost my light, and that light is back. It's burning bright, and I hope it never goes out again.
Yes.
And second off, I get to spend a lot of time with my grandson. I watch him a couple days a week for my daughter, and he
Mhm.
is 22 months old, so he keeps me he keeps me going.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I also work on the events. We do these 3-4 times a year is the goal. I work on, I have a little prison ministry that I do. So I write letters and cards and encouragement, send them some books. And
Mhm.
then I write. I'm editing and doing my work on my books so that they can come out and hopefully the public can enjoy them. And I want to make a comment. Restitution is not about restitution as far as my story. It is a fiction novel. It's a thriller novel
Mhm.
about a lady who is out to seek deadly restitution for people who have wronged her.
Yes.
And when I first wrote it, I was so angry and I was taking my frustrations out on this book,
I
but better
see.
that than on people.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Right.
um, I don't want to mislead anybody that it's not a self-help book,
Not,
but at the
right.
same time, um, that writing gives me a break from reality. I don't know how else to say it. So it lets me pause my life and think and focus on what's going to go into the story before I go on to the next part of my life. And then the other thing I like to say, and I heard this on the radio from somebody, your life is just a title page on the book of eternity. So I think of that. And what is my life doing to inspire others? What can I do to help teach others? And we just did an event last Saturday night, and we had to go around the room, and people were saying something unique about them. And one of the things I said is, I really don't like people.
Mhm.
And they all looked at me like, well, you're crazy. And I said, not in that level. I like people, yes, but I do not like sometimes what comes along with the people. But you got to overlook that, because
Mhm.
we're all different. We're all unique. We all have baggage. We all have challenges. Some of us deal and cope better with it than others.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that's what I meant when I said that. So it's what comes along with the people that I don't
I
like.
see. So some of the failures or some of the lacking that people have in regards to each other and the way that they treat each other and the things that they say or don't say. I
Right.
can agree with you
Mhm.
there. It's painful when you have people that are purposely causing, pain or even just being a
Mhm.
toxic type personality. And a lot of times that's probably driven by some of their own grief and loss. Did you see a lot of that when you were incarcerated? That those that were that you were getting to know, that anger was kind of leading their behavior style just because they had so much pent up, you
Oh,
know.
absolutely. And they didn't know how to control it. I've seen the fighting, physical fighting, verbal, the yelling on the phones to their loved ones, just their actions, the way they carried themselves. And then you would see others just crying all the time. You don't know if it's because they were truly repenting for what was going on, sorry for what they did, or if they were just sorry they got caught or missing their family. You just don't know. And you just don't go up to everybody and talk to them when you're incarcerated. It's just not something you do.
That's it.
But I saw a lot, and I lived for 4 years in a world of sadness, and
Mm.
that's not just with the inmates, with the the correctional officers. They just weren't happy either because they don't have the staff to do what they need to do. They work 12-hour shifts on their feet. Sometimes they're in violent situations, and you feel for them too. It was just a unique place to be. I'm, I'm I don't want to go back, but I am thankful that I went. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That's profound. And actually that gives me encouragement, as a survivor of a
Mhm.
crime where someone was found guilty and is in prison because of that. I would hope that the time that they're spending, incarcerated is changing them, is healing things, maybe losses in their life and past, but that is giving them inspiration to want to come out and do something in the world like, you've experienced. And to hear that that is such a place of sadness, I think, half of society would say, well, that's too bad. That's what, should be like in those situations. And
And
then I
that is
think
what
there's
happens.
the others that want to see it be a place of healing.
Right.
Mm.
Right. And that is it can be both. It really can. And unfortunately, I had a person that I interviewed, and I'm not going to say the person's name. Um, and they were gung ho to do this. They believed that people could change. They wanted to be part of the event. So I sent a text message saying that the event date had changed due to COVID. And the reply was, remove my name and number from your list and never contact me again.
Mm.
This is a person that I did not know before. He was not one that was harmed in anything. And I just let it go. I didn't reply. If that's what his wishes are, that's fine. But it's very unfortunate that somebody would do an interview and then change their mind that quick.
Mhm.
Um, and it was sad because this person was also in law enforcement and has seen the negativity and should also see the change. And
Right.
people were very judgmental, and felons get that on a regular basis. That's how they're treated.
Mhm.
And you gotta overcome that. You just got to.
And I think as a society, obviously, we are so quick now to judge and to formulate opinions and think our opinion is right or necessary to be the winner of the conversation. But there's so many different sides to all situations, and it's hard to know the truths unless you've been in it. And it's hard to know what we'll do or won't do when driven by certain scenarios and decisions.
Right.
And it's just so much about the human condition that is so individual. And I know we all have things in our life that we wish would have gone different or wouldn't have happened or appreciate that it
Right.
happened. I think the ability in my mind and heart to show growth and to show overcoming is by being willing to have all conversations and listen and get to know people without that veil of judgment there and
Right.
assuming things, anything. I see the validity of the work that you are doing and what you'll do in the future. And it's exciting to me to see and be inspired by that change.
Well, I appreciate that. And it says a lot about you that willing to have me on your show, knowing, some of the past. And it's, only thing I can say to people first, anybody that's been incarcerated is you can do what you want to do. You can overcome. You don't have to worry about what people are saying or thinking because they're not going to be the ones that are there for you. They're not paying your bills. And two, the people who have never been incarcerated is to give others a chance because we've all made mistakes. Some
Mhm.
people have made worse mistakes. Some people have been in trouble for their mistakes, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they were bad. Sometimes the situation surrounding them can
Mhm.
cause, and again, I'm not making excuses, but they put themselves in a situation that they probably shouldn't have put themselves in. And then they make decisions to either try to get out of it or to protect. And when
Right.
that happens, that's when it's dangerous. And then when you get in that hole, it's super hard to dig out of. And like I said, I had many, many opportunities to get out of it, and it took a jail cell. And I'm thankful it happened. I am most thankful because I had a changed mindset of my view of just people in general, of what I needed to do with my life.
And that is exactly what brave is. I truly believe.
Mm-hmm.
And also for those listening, I want them to understand that the things that have happened and occurred in our life that push us in different directions, that then end up, ending in situations we wouldn't have wanted. All of that pain, we have to be able to channel it into good, and at some point, have that change of mindset. And
You do.
it's yeah, and not only have you experienced it, but you're willing to share and talk and encourage that in others, which, even talking about the artistry and the creativity of writing, I really hope that people understand that it's important to find those things and processes that allow you to feel like you're healing, right? Are there any other
That's correct.
practices that you do? I know you pray, you've got, spiritual background. Are there any other things that you do to secure that well-being?
I have to force myself to do it. So it's easy because I don't have to physically go to a job. So it's easy to say I'll do it tomorrow or I'll do it later, and then later never happens. So I have to make myself do it. And just with anything else, you gotta get up, you gotta force yourself to move forward, because if you don't, nothing's gonna happen. And that project that should have taken 6 months to write now has taken 6 years. And my book has taken long enough anyways, because I started it in 2015 and it didn't get published until 2021 because of my incarceration. And then when I got out, I had to find a publisher. It was handwritten, it had to be typed. There were so many obstacles just to finish that project. And then it had to be edited. Once it even went to the publisher, it took another year. So we went through, I would say, at least 12 edits before it was ready to go to print. So
Wow.
it's a mindset just to get up and do what you're going to do. If you want to do it, you can make it happen.
So
And
did you
this is coming
feel?
from somebody that doesn't have the money and the career to
Mhm,
be able to do what I used to do,
mhm.
but it's happening because I'm making sure I'm taking the proper steps to do it.
Taking the steps, and I'm sure. I mean, did you feel like you wanted to give up on this journey of this healing and processing through your writing, at all during this phase? It sounds like it was quite a journey full of barriers, huh?
Yes, it was. And when I first got out, it would have been easy to just duck my head because, oh, we got to go to Walmart. I got to buy some clothes because I don't have anything. And not only did most people, the reason why they don't have anything when they get out is because they've lost everything, because they didn't pay their house payment or their rent because they were incarcerated. But in my situation, my husband had it all, but we had a house fire. So we
Oh,
lost everything we had for over, our entire 30 years of marriage
mhm.
that we had been accumulating. Of course, maybe it was only about 27 years at that time, but um, it was it was devastating. And my family didn't even tell me about that while I was incarcerated, because there was no need for me to worry anymore. I
Yeah.
did find out about it when I was incarcerated, but it was like 2 years later.
Mhm. Yeah. It would have been hard to hear, I'm sure, when you did. But, on the note of your family, I love hearing how much they surrounded and rallied and just stayed, strong. Sometimes in these situations, families fall apart, and there is, people don't know how to cope together. But it sounds like your family leaned in and everyone leaned on each other and coped.
They did. And not only did they do that, we came out stronger. And we
Yeah.
had people try to tear us apart. We
Mhm.
absolutely did. We had people that, tried to get involved in the marriage or say, oh, they'll be filing for divorce or whatever. My husband came to see me every week. I never had somebody not show up for a visit unless the place was closed, that they couldn't get in. But every week I had not just one, but up to three of my family members came to see me.
That is
And
phenomenal.
I was I was envied by a lot of the other inmates because that just didn't happen. It
I'm
just didn't
sure.
happen.
And I'm hoping that, I'm sure there was regret or sorrow around that, but hopefully they felt inspired as well and encouraged. There's a lot of discouragement and disappointment in the world right now. And, we've been speaking about all the ways that it plays out. Finding brave and seeking brave is something that we have to do every day, isn't it?
It is. It is a challenge every day, because sometimes it's easier to go along with what others are doing, to get tied up in the negativity and the woe is me and bashing others, that we don't focus on ourselves and what we're really called to do. And if you have a skill, and you love to do that, then go do it. Go do it. Things will work out for you. You will be better for it. You will be happy. Your family life will be happier. And I'm telling you, it is worth finding your purpose in doing that.
Wow. I would say that is a part of your beautiful legacy, is just that ability to so inspire and so encourage. I love that about you. I'm excited to be a part of this event in August. And
Yes, I can't wait.
yes, we've put up a few of the names of the guests, and I know you're working on the details there. But definitely we'll have links to it as part of this show. And then also we'll be doing some more publicity around that as we get closer. But, you know, what an intentional way for you to take your life experiences and turn it for good. I am so proud to see you do that, and to be a woman who's watching a woman, a sister, find her own inspiration to do that. Is there anything particular that you'd like to leave our audience with today as just a little keystone of hope for them?
I would like to tell you to look deep inside yourself, evaluate where you are, and see if this is where you really want to be. And if it's not, find out what you want to do, find out what's going to make you happy, and go after it. And if you need help to do that, find the help, talk to somebody, seek out people that are already in that industry, see if you can get on their wings and write them out and see if you can learn from them. And there's a lot of people that will mentor you. They're not afraid that you're going to come in and be their competitor. They are going to mentor you because they would rather see you successful than to be hurt. And if you can find those people, find them.
Wow.
Find them and then become one of them. Become one of them and share it. Absolutely.
That's what you're doing. You took that light, you had that reawakened, and now it's like you're lighting the candles of others along the way.
I just feel called to do it. It's not easy, and there's days I don't want to. I will be honest with you. But
yes.
we do it.
Yes. Well, thanks for being brave with me today and being willing to share. I feel like we can have another conversation like this sometimes. There's a little deeper that I'd like to go with you. So I'm excited about this event in August. I'll definitely be looking forward to that. But I want to thank you again, Bren, for being with me today to talk about.
I appreciate you having me. It's been a blessing.
Yes, blessing for me. Well, thank you for watching, everyone, today. You know, these stories are compelling. They come out of the deepness of really difficult moments. And I hope that you're inspired to find your own brave. Take care.
I am, and I appreciate you and what you're doing and just the things that you have overcome. And I cannot wait to hear you speak about it.
Thank you, Bren. Well, until next time, be brave.